Hello everyone. In this is video on IQES International Quiz on Earth Science September 2020, which is organized by GeoVigyan. In this video I will be explaining the numerical section of the quiz, that was net section. So coming to first question of the net section, which says what will be the salinity of an ocean if its chlorinity is given by 18.2 parts per thousand. Salinity, it is the amount of salt dissolved in the given body. In this given body is ocean. And chlorinity is the measure of chloride content in the ocean. And value of chlorinity is given 18.2 parts per thousand. We have taken here chlorine ion because chlorine is the abundant ion in ocean. Now salinity in parts per thousand is the unit, and formula for salinity is given by salinity equal to 1.80655 into chlorinity, which is also in parts per thousand, and the value for chlorinity is given 18.2 parts per thousand. We will keep this value in above formula and will get answer for salinity, which comes to be 32.879 parts per thousand. Since we have to give answer in 2 decimal places, it's clearly given in the question, so we will round off it up to 2 decimal places, which will be 32.88 parts per thousand. Coming to second question, the second question says if the velocity of primary wave and secondary wave in the rock are given by 10 km per second and 5 km per second respectively, then the calculated Poisson's ratio of the rock is, also we have to give answer in 2 decimal places. So in this we have been given primary wave velocity Vp, that is 10 km per second, secondary wave velocity Vs, that is 5 km per second, and we have been asked to calculate Poisson's ratio of the rock. So we know the relation between primary wave, secondary wave and Poisson's ratio is given by Vp by Vs equal to square root of 1 minus Poisson's ratio divided by 0.5 minus Poisson's ratio. Here Poisson's ratio is the expansion or contraction of a material in the perpendicular direction of the applied force. So we will keep value of Vp, Vs in the given equation and will calculate value of Poisson's ratio. On calculating, we get Poisson's ratio to be sigma equal to 1 by 3. See in question, it is given answer to be given in 2 decimal place only. So we will convert in decimal place and answer comes to be 0.33. Now coming to third question, a camera equipped with 150mm focal length lens is used to take a vertical photograph from a flying height of 2780 meter above mean sea level. If the terrain is flat and located at an elevation of 500 meter, what is the scale of the photograph? Now see, we have been given 150mm focal length, flying height is given 2780 meter and elevation is given 500 meter. First of all, we will draw a diagram. This is our lens where camera is fitted. This is the focal length of the lens. This is the height above the terrain, and this is flying height of the object. We will also, this is the mean sea level, please note it, and this is the flat terrain which is described in a this terrain is flat. This is the flat terrain. Okay, so formula for scale is given, scale equal to focal length of the lens upon flying height above ground, and flying height is the difference in the total height from the mean sea level and height above the terrain. And please do note here focal length is given in millimeter. So we will convert millimeter into meter and put the values in the formula. On putting values in the formula, we get scale to be 1:15,200. This is the scale of the photograph. Now coming to fourth question, the delta 34S value of sphalerite from Mexico is plus 1.38 per million, and that of cogenetic galena is minus 0.71 per million. What is the value of isotopic fractionation factor for the sphalerite galena pair? And answer is to be given into 3 decimal places only. Here we have been given delta 34 sulfur sphalerite value positive 1.38 parts per million and delta 34 sulfur galena value as minus 0.71 parts per million. We know that isotopic fractionation factor denoted by alpha for the two substances, let's say A and B, is given by the formula, this formula. Alpha A by B equal to 1 plus delta A by 1000 whole divided by 1 plus delta B divided by 1000. On simplifying, we get this formula, 1000 plus delta A upon 1000 plus delta B. Similarly, as we have been asked here for the sphalerite galena pair, so we will keep value of delta A and delta B in this formula, this equation. On keeping value in this equation, we get alpha sphalerite by galena value to be 1.002. Please do note we have to write answer in 3 decimal place as given in the question. Now what is delta 34? Delta 34 is the ratio of two stable isotopes of sulfur, that is delta 34S and 32S. Now coming to fifth question, a confined sandstone aquifer with a uniform cross-section area of 10 meter square and hydraulic conductivity of 2 meter per second transmits water across a hydraulic gradient of 3.1. So here in question we have been given cross-sectional area of 10 meter square, hydraulic conductivity of 2 meter per second and hydraulic gradient of 3.1. We have to find volumetric flow rate through the aquifer. So coming to question, area of the aquifer denoted by A, 10 meter per square, hydraulic conductivity denoted by K, 2 meter per second, and hydraulic gradient dH by dl given 3.1. We know that volumetric flow rate through aquifer is given by the formula Q equal to K into A into dH by dl. We will keep value of K, A and dH by dl from here in the formula and will calculate the volumetric rate flow, which comes to be 62 meter cube per second. Coming to next question. Sixth, during layer parallel contraction, two stiff layer 1 and layer 2 of the same viscosity with thickness 2 cm and 4 cm respectively produces buckle fold in the rock. So we have to find the ratio of their wavelength. Firstly, we should know that buckling is caused by the layer parallel shortening or contraction or horizontal tectonics due to stress or strain. We should also know that wavelength is directly proportional to thickness and wavelength is calculated relative to ductile layer or matrix. As we will see this with the help of a diagram. This is layer 1, this is layer 2. Mu1 and mu2 are the we have been given that the same viscosity, both layer. So these are the viscosities and length of layer 1 is 2 cm while layer 2 is 4 cm as given in the thickness given in the question. So and we will take from our side matrix, viscosity of matrix to be mu2. After the applied stress or strain, this condition occurs. because of compression, these two yellow arrows you can see, the buckling is caused. This is layer 1. Thickness doesn't changes in buckling, we should remember that. And this is layer 2 with viscosity both mu1. Now coming to the solution, the wavelength of buccal fold produced due to layer parallel shortening or contraction is given by W, wavelength denoted by W. W equal to 2 into pi into T into cube root of mu L upon 6 mu m. Here T is the thickness of stiff layer, mu L is the viscosity of stiff layer, mu m is the viscosity of embedded matrix. So with this first equation we will calculate wavelength of first layer and second layer. For first layer, W1 will be 2 pi into T1 into cube root of mu1 upon 6 mu2. Here we will keep value of T1, that is given to be 2, and we will get this equation. So W1 value comes to be 4 pi cube root of mu1 upon 6 mu2. Similarly, for the second layer wavelength, T2 value will change and T2 value is given 4. So the equation what we get for layer 2 is 8 pi cube root of mu1 upon 6 mu2. We have been asked ratio of wavelength of both the layers. So ratio of wavelength W1 to W2 is given by W1 upon W2. On simplifying both the equation 2 and equation 3, what we get answer is 1:2. Coming to next question, that is 7. From the figure depicting a recovered core of a total length of 2 meter. We have been given total length of 2 meter. We have to calculate the rock quality designation, RQD. Now what is RQD? RQD is the measure of quality of rock core taken from a borehole. That is the degree of jointing or fracturing in a rock mass. We have been given this core whose total length we have been given as 2 meter. This part, it is not recovered. This part has a length of 0.35 meter. This has a 0.2 meter. This is 0. It is highly fractured. This is 0.17 meter and this is 0.38 meter. So formula for RQD is given by summation of the length of core pieces which are greater than 10 centimeter in length divided by total length of the core run into 100. So it says that piece length should be greater than 10 centimeter. So in this case we will not take this portion because it is less than 10 centimeter, and also this portion because it is also less than 10 centimeter. We will add 0.35, 0.2, 0.17, 0.38 meters for length of core pieces above summation. We will put these values in the formula, and what we get RQD value to be 0.55 into 100, which comes to be 55%. Coming to 8th numerical, which says estimate global temperature of our planet in Celsius. We have to keep our answer in Celsius. If we consider it as a black body in thermal equilibrium, if temperature of sun given 5700 Kelvin, radius of sun is 7 into 10 to the power 5 kilometer, and distance between earth and sun is given 115 to 10 to the power 6 kilometer. Here also we have to give answer in 2 decimal places. Let's see, we have been given radius of the sun denoted by RS, 7 into 10 to the power 5 kilometer. Distance between sun and earth denoted by D equal to 115 to 10 to the power 6 kilometer. Temperature of the sun TS equal to 5700 Kelvin, and we have to find earth temperature, which is denoted by TE. We know that formula for calculating temperature of the earth's surface is given by this: TE equal to TS into under root RS by 2D. This equation number 1. We will keep value of Rs, D and Ts from here in the equation 1 and calculate the value of Ts. On doing calculation, we get value of Te equal to be 275.3361 Kelvin. Now note that we have to give answer in Celsius as asked in the question, and we have got our answer in Kelvin. So we will convert it into Kelvin. Since Kelvin equal to degree Celsius value plus 273.15, we will keep Kelvin value and subtract 273.15 from that, and we will get surface of the earth in degree Celsius, which comes to be the answer comes to be 2.1861 degrees Celsius. Now we have to round up our answer up to 2 decimal places, so we will round it up to 2 decimal places and we get answer to be 2.18 degrees Celsius. Coming to the ninth numerical, a plane seismic wave traveling vertically downward in a rock density 2200 kg per meter cube with seismic velocity of 200 meter per second. We have been given density and seismic velocity in that density is incidented on a horizontal top surface of a rock layer of density 2400 kg per meter cube and seismic velocity of 3300 meter per second. Second density is 2400 kg per meter cube and seismic velocity is 3300 meter per second. What percent of incident energy is transmitted into the lower medium? So we have to find the amount of energy, percentage of energy which was transmitted through the from upper medium to lower medium. Okay, so see this diagram. Density and velocity in above layer, density and velocity in lower layer. We have to find out how much was transmitted. This one we have to find out. To calculate percentage of incident energy that is transmitted into the lower medium, we first calculate fraction or percentage of incident energy reflected at the end. So first we will calculate the incident energy reflected at the interference. From there we will calculate how much was transmitted. First we will calculate this. Note the fraction ER of the incident energy reflected at the interference is given by ER equal to R square. This is the first equation, where R is the reflection coefficient and R is given by the formula R equal to Z2 minus Z1 upon Z2 plus Z1, and here Z is equal to rho into V, Z2 equal to rho 2 into V2 and Z1 equal to rho 1 into V1. We will keep value of rho 1 and V1 from here in this equation, and we get value of R to be 0.29. We will keep this value of 0.29 value of R in equation first, and we get value of ER, that is fraction of incident energy reflected at the interference, which comes to be 0.08. Now the total energy that is coming is 1. Why? It is 100%. 1 is 100%. Now the reflection ET of incident transmitted through interference, so we will subtract from total energy the amount of light that was reflected back. 1 minus ER. ER was the amount of energy that was reflected back. So we will subtract 1 minus 0.08 which comes to be 0.92. Therefore 92, it is not in percentage and we have been asked answer in percentage, so we will convert it into percentage. Therefore 92%, 0.92 will be multiplied by 100 and we get answer to be 92% of the incident light is transmitted into lower medium. So answer is 92%. Coming to the last question of the numerical section, in which it is given that in an electrical resistivity imaging survey an axial dipole array is placed. We have been given axial dipole array over an inhomogeneous structure. The centers of current and potential dipole are separated by a distance of 100 meter. Distance of 100 meter is given between center of current and potential dipole. Length of each dipole is given 10 meter. If 5 ampere current flows through the surface and 50 millivolt potential difference is measured across the potential dipole, then what will be the apparent resistivity of axial dipole array? So according to the given condition in the question, we have been given that it is an axial dipole array. These are two current electrodes, C1, C2. These are two potential dipole electrodes, P1 and P2. Distance between the center of current electrode and that of potential electrode is given 100 meter. Between two current electrode 10 meter and between two potential electrode 10 meter. 5 ampere current is flowing, due to which 50 millivolt potential difference is measured. So this figure comes what we have been given in the question. But according to axial dipole array, the arrangement of electrode is given as this figure. There is difference in the distance taken between the above figure and this figure. Here it is given as Na from one C2 current electrode to Pu2 potential electrode, and the apparent resistivity in the expression is given by rho A. This is apparent resistivity equal to N into N plus 1 into N plus 2 into pi into A into V by I. With the help of this equation, we will calculate the apparent resistivity of the axial dipole array. So by comparing the first figure and this is the second figure, comparing them, we get Na equal to be 90. How Na equal to be 90? Na is this distance. Here this is the center, so this distance will be 5 and again this distance will be 5. So this comes to be 100 minus 10, 90. So Na equal to 90 and A comes to be 10 from here. I is given 5 ampere, V is given 50 millivolt or 15 to 10 to the power minus 3 volt. We will keep all these value in the given equation, this, and calculate value of rho A. This is the solution and we get answer rho A equal to 310.86 ohm meter. So now I will be discussing the common mistake which were made by the participants during the quiz. The first mistake made by them or by you is when there is clearly written in the question that you have to give answer up to 2 or 3 decimal places, then you have to stick to that point, that answer should be given in 2 or 3 decimal place only, not more than that, for which there will be no number given to you if you have written answer in more decimal places than the asked in question. Second point, there is no need of writing units while giving the test, because in question itself the units are given that you have to write answer in these units. So while attempting online quizzes, GATE, NET, JAM, you don't have to give units, you have only to give numerical values. So this was all about the net section of quiz. If you have any query, please ask in comment section, and also do not forget to give feedback in comment about the quiz and about the video of net section. Thank you all. Team GeoVigyan wishes you a bright future. Signing off for now. Meet you in the next video. Up to then, take care, be healthy, and do not forget to subscribe our YouTube channel for more updates.